everyone. So for those who don't know me, my name is Kat. So this is going to be a 30-minute yoga practice. And I thought I'd do something a little different. So I figured I would do some Tai Chi sort of movements. And when I say Tai Chi, I mean, you know, for the purists out there, it's not going to be exactly like maybe Tai Chi classes you've taken before. It's just influenced by some Tai Chi movements. So some of the movements you'll be familiar with if you've done Tai Chi before. And if not, I hope you enjoy it, a little bit of a different flow. So I guess I'll wait about 1 minute just to see if maybe a few more people join us before we get started. So yeah, just enjoy. Get any props that you might need, such as blocks. You're more than welcome to use blocks throughout this practice. Or maybe a prop or even a blanket if you have one to maybe sit underneath you. Just knowing that you've got options throughout this practice today. And I guess one thing I should mention, usually I do a playlist to go along on Spotify, but I thought this one, I just wanted to really listen to the sounds of nature. I'm in my sunroom right now. I have my door open, so I just kind of wanted to use that sound as my influence for the practice today. But you're more than welcome to use any music that you wish to use. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. So I wanted to, if you're seated, that's great, or you maybe even want to stand, you're more than welcome to begin in any position you want. So I wanted to read a John Muir quote, and for those who, obviously it was Earth Day on Wednesday, I believe, and I personally was supposed to be out at Zion National Park. I try to visit a national park at least once every year, and I had postponed it for my birthday, and we decided to go end of April because that's my boyfriend's birthday. So it obviously didn't work out, but just riding that wave of trying to be safe, right? That's better than trying to do something that just wasn't the right time, obviously, given the pandemic and everything. But that's okay, knowing that it's going to be there, and I can enjoy that when the time is right. So I was watching the PBS documentary last night on national parks. I think it's called America's Best Idea. And it's wonderful. I highly recommend it. And so I was really influenced by watching that last night for this practice today. So I want to read a John Muir quote. Some of you might be familiar with it. When we contemplate the whole globe as one dewdrop, striped and dotted with continents and islands, flying through space with other stars, all singing and shining together as one, the whole universe appears as an infinite storm of beauty. And just reading his work, he's such a poet. It's just beautiful writing. I wish I could be that gifted or a writer. So I just kind of wanted you to just think about that quote. Just let that resonate and sit with you. And then if you're seated or standing, you can keep the eyes open, or you might want to close them. You can bring the left hand up to the heart and the right hand down to the low belly. And then we're just going to pay attention to our breath here. So just noticing how your breath moves here right now in this space, in your body. You might notice the chest and abdomen lift on the inhale. And you might notice how all those parts of the body fall in on the exhale as the oxygen leaves the body. CO2, I should say, the other way around. Just noticing how the breath moves here, how it feels in your body. Maybe taking note of how you're feeling in the mind, not just in the body right now. Maybe even counting the breaths. And then when you're ready, just bring the hands down to the side. And if you're seated, Just make your way up to standing in any way that you wish. Slowly rising. And then bring the feet about hips width distance. And so I know we said we're going to do some Tai Chi movements today, or inspired Tai Chi yoga movements. So they call this horse stance. And so you want a little bit of movement in the knees. So a little bit of a bend in the legs here. That way you're sort of able to move and adjust any way you want. All right, so the hands are to the sides. Go ahead and raise the hands up to about shoulder height on an inhale. And then as you exhale, bring the hands to the front and then down. And as you lower on the exhale, go ahead and bend a little bit more into those knees. And then we're going to begin that again. Inhale, rising up. So the legs are going to straighten here. And then bring the hands out to the front. And then exhale, lower back down. So we're going to repeat that 3 more times here, matching your breath. One more time here. And then just come to standing. Go ahead and roll the shoulders up and back with the palms facing forward. Then we're going to raise the hands back up to the sides, just like we did earlier. And as the hands come to the front, we're just going to lower the hands a little bit lower than before and bend into those legs just a little bit deeper. So it's like we're brushing a horse's mane here. And then on the inhale, we're going to rise back up, palms facing forward. Exhale, lower back down. So nice and slow here. We're not rushing the movement. Inhale, rising back up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rising back up. And then on the exhale, we're just going to bring the arms down to the sides. Go ahead and roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Palms facing forward, like that mountain pose you're used to doing in your yoga practice. Head and gaze facing forward. Now on the inhale, we're going to raise the arms back up to the front. And then on the exhale, we're just going to bring the hands down to about hips height. And then we're going to bring the left arm or left hand up just slightly as we bring the right hand underneath as though we're holding a beach ball. So your beach ball can be as large as you want it or as small. It's just whatever you feel comfortable with. And then as you inhale, lower that left hand down as you release the right hand going up. And then exhale, lower that hand. Inhale, rising the hands back up. Bringing the hands back to the front. Exhale, bringing the hands back down to the height we found earlier. And this time we're going to go to the other side. So as the right hand lifts up, that left hand is going to come under that right hand. Exhale, lower that right hand as we raise the left hand up as though we're throwing a frisbee. And then exhale, lower that hand back down. Inhale, roll the shoulders up, back and down, palms facing forward. Inhale, raising those hands back up to shoulder height, back to the front. And then exhale, lower. And then inhale, raising the arms back up to the sides. Bringing the hands back to the front. And then exhale, lower. Inhale, raising the hands back up. And this time just exhale, let those hands float back down to the side. Rolling the shoulders up, back and down. We're going to find a forward fold here. So we're going to bring the feet a little bit closer. So they're a little bit wider than hips width distance there. So bring the feet so they're about hips width distance. Inhale, rolling the shoulders up, back, and down. Raising the hands back up. Gaze can follow as the palms touch. Exhale, bringing those hands all the way down to the mat or maybe even a block. And then letting the crown of the head reach down towards the mat or the floor beneath you. On an inhale, we're going to lift up halfway. So that means bringing the hands, depending on the length of your arms, to the shins or maybe even the thighs. And then think about bringing those elbows back behind you as though they're facing up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, finding that forward fold again. And don't be afraid to have a bend in those knees. And then on the inhale, slowly rising all the way back up, arms coming up wide, palms touch above you. Exhale, bringing hands down to heart center. Inhale, reaching those hands back up. And then exhale, finding that swan dive so the arms come wide all the way down to that forward fold. And then inhale, slowly coming up all the way. Those fingers can just follow the legs all the way up. Roll the shoulders up, back and down, palms facing forward. Inhale, reaching those hands up above you, palms touch. Exhale, bringing hands down to heart center. And those thumbs can just stay in towards the sternum here. And just take notice of the breath. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling out through the mouth. Inhale, reaching those hands up. Exhale, let those hands float down to the sides. Bringing those hands up to the waist. I want you to step. There's a fun dog barking in the background. So I want you to step that left foot out about a 45-degree angle. So just think about that 45-degree angle coming out from your hips. So if you were straight line here, it's coming out that way. And then I want you to raise those hands up to the left side. And then on an exhale, I want you to sweep those hands to the right side, that the toes of the left foot can come up just slightly. You're bending into that right leg, bringing the right hand to that wrist of the left, and then exhale, bringing those arms back to the left. And then bringing those palms so they're facing down. Inhale, back. And then it's like we're pushing. So pushing and then pulling on the inhale, exhale, pushing. So just like that. And then the toes coming up with that left. Well, this is kind of fun with the dogs barking. Maybe moving to the barking movements. Exhale. All right, and then go ahead and bring those hands back into the hips and then adjust that left foot back to how we began. We're going to switch sides. So stepping that right foot out, this time on that 45-degree angle. And then when you're ready, raising those hands up. And then inhale, coming back to the left side. The toes of that right foot can come up. And then when you're ready, using the other hand, so the left hand can touch that right wrist as we push forward while trying to keep that the tailbone in just a little bit here. And on the inhale, lowering those palms so they're facing down, coming back to the left, toes of the right foot lifting up, and then exhale, finding that pushing, inhale, pulling. Exhale, pushing, inhale, pulling. Exhale, pushing. So just like that, a few more times here. And you know, the studies of Tai Chi have shown it's been really beneficial to help reducing falls as you age. So there's been a lot of good studies done on Tai Chi, and same with yoga. Yoga being found to be very beneficial for the low back pain. And so other various studies too on other things, but they escape me right now. Then inhale, coming back, and then let those hands float down to the sides. So adjusting the feet so they're about greater than hips width distance here. We're going to bring the arms out to the sides. And then you might even want the toes pointing out, you know, a little bit on an angle here facing out from the hips. So arms are wide. And then on the exhale, we're just going to lower into the legs. So lower the hips down and then lower the hands down too on the exhale. Inhale, back up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, back up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, back up. Exhale, lower. Then bringing the palms to touch here. We're going to stay in here just a little bit. You might feel a similar motion or similar muscles engaging like you do in goddess pose, everyone's favorite. So staying here for a few breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. Inhale, raising those arms out to the side. And then on the exhale, straightening those legs and then letting those hands float down to the sides. We're going to heel and toe the feet back in so they're about hips width distance. We're going to find a bit of a hamstring stretch here. So keeping the hands, you can keep them down by the sides or maybe even up on the waist here. And you're going to bend into that left leg. So the weight is going to shift into that left leg as you straighten that right leg in front of you. So you're going to be on that heel of that front foot that's out. And then as you're ready on an inhale, you're slowly going to hinge forward at the waist, reaching forward with those hands, and then coming up on an inhale. And then exhale, circling those arms back down. Inhale, rising back up, straightening that left leg. Exhale, lowering back down, maybe even touching the toes of that right foot. And then exhale, stepping that right foot back in. So we're going to find the same movement on the other side. So shifting in the weight into that right foot, keeping that bend in that leg, and then stepping, adjusting that left foot to straighten. And then remember that if you're bent into that back leg, you want to make sure that that knee is back from those toes. That way you're actually engaging the quads and the glutes here. So on an exhale, we're going to hinge forward, reach those hands down and then up, straightening that leg as you come up, circling those hands around, back and down on the exhale. Inhale, coming back up. Exhale. Last time here. And then on an exhale, bringing those hands down to the side and then stepping that left foot forward. All right, we're going to find some warrior poses here, so get excited. So coming to the front of your mat, I'm going to adjust where I am here. Keeping the hands or palms together at the chest or heart center, shifting the weight into the left leg as you step back with the right. Then we're going to inhale, coming up with those arms or hands. You're going to be on the ball of that back foot. So we're actually in a crescent pose here. And then on an exhale, we're going to spin on that back foot. So that back foot is going to be facing towards me. And then that front leg, you want bent about 90 degrees. So you want to over the ankle just for more support. But if that doesn't feel good, you're always welcome to adjust in a way that feels better for you. And then raising those arms wide. Think about those hands going in opposite directions. Really going to feel those arms engage here. And then when you're ready on an exhale, I want you to bring that right hand towards the left forearm. And then inhale, it's like you're bringing a bow back. So it's like bow and arrow right here. And then open that arm wide again. Exhale, bringing that right hand back. Drawing that arm back. Exhale. Bringing that right hand back in. Inhale back. And then exhale. And then go ahead and straighten that left leg. Keeping that arms or palms facing down. We're going to reach forward with the left. And then exhale, bringing that left hand down to the shin or maybe even the ankle. It really just depends on how far you personally can reach. You can even use a block to be on the inside of that left foot, or maybe you prefer the outer edge of that foot. And that right arm coming up, you can look up towards that hand for more of a challenge, or if it might feel a bit funny on the neck, so you're always welcome to look down towards the ground. And then inhale, coming back up, straightening those arms. Exhale, letting those hands come down to the hips, adjusting that left foot so the toes are now going to be facing the front. And then heel and toe the feet in, and then just doing some marches here. And then adjusting the feet about hips width distance or maybe even a little bit wider. And we're going to find some swaying movements of the arms. So you're going to bring the right hand over to the left hip here, and then just circling here. So you're really just letting the arms float. So the arms are passive here. So you don't really want the arms to be engaging the movement. It's really about the torso, initiating the movements here. You might want to inhale, go in one direction, and then exhale, go in the opposite direction. And then we're just going to gently slow down. All right. And then go ahead and bring those feet in to hips width distance, unless you prefer them being out a little bit wider. Roll the shoulders up, back and down, palms facing forward. Paying attention to the breath here. And then on an inhale, reaching the hands up overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hands down to heart center. Inhale, reaching those hands up. Exhale, let those hands float down to the sides. All right, so we're going to face the front of the mat. Again, I'm going to face this way. Bringing those hands to heart center if that feels good, or maybe even down by the hips. And then we're going to find the motion on the other side. So when you're ready, you're going to step back with the left foot this time. Inhale, reaching those arms up so the arms are engaged here. So you're in that crescent pose we found earlier in the ball of that back foot. And then on the exhale, we're going to open up into our warrior two pose here. So keeping that leg bent. And then when you're ready, on an exhale, you're going to reach that left hand forward to the right forearm. Inhale, lifting or bringing that bow back. Open that hand out and then finding that pose again here, reaching forward. Inhale, exhale here. One more time here. And then when you're ready, bringing that left arm back into that warrior two pose. And then on an exhale, bringing those hands to the hips, adjusting that right foot so the toes are now facing the front. And then bringing those feet to be about under the hips here, rolling the shoulders up, back and down, palms facing forward. Inhale, reaching those hands up above the head, palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reaching those hands back up. Exhale, finding that swan dive to your forward fold. Like I said, don't be afraid to bend into those legs. A lot of people think, your head has to touch the shins. But, remember that all our bodies are different, and it's okay that sometimes your body isn't feeling it. Quite personally, I have tight low back muscles. So for me to touch my head to my shins is, pretty impossible. So knowing that it's okay to adapt, okay? And then inhale, coming up for that halfway lift. Like we found earlier, back flat. Elbows pointing up towards the ceiling here. And then when you're with the head, you also want to think about that dip in the back of the neck here for the cervical spine. So then that might mean you're looking forward a few feet in front of you. And then exhale, bending into those legs, finding that forward fold. And then inhale, slowly rising up, arms coming wide, palms touch above you. Exhale, bringing hands down to heart center. And then take a moment to just shake out those feet here. All right, and then when you're ready, finding that mountain pose. So really think about grounding, so using that grounding from the bottom of the mat and the earth, rolling the shoulders up, back and down, palms facing forward. Inhale, reaching those arms up overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reaching those hands up. Exhale, bringing those hands up wide. And then bringing those hands in front of you on an exhale. Then inhale, I want you to think about bending the elbows here. So bending the elbows up. Exhale, lower. So the arms are now out right in front of you. Then inhale, reaching wide. Then I want you to think about giving yourself a big hug. So the right arm is coming under the left, and then the fingers are reaching the back of the shoulders, maybe even touching the shoulder blades here. Inhale out wide, and then switching the sides. So opposite arm over opposite. Inhale back up, and then exhale lower. We're going to find our way into some balance poses here. So we're just like doing a bit of a warm up here. So shifting the weight into that left leg, we're going to start finding tree pose. Shifting the weight into that left leg, bringing that heel up of that left medial malleolus, that bony point on that inside of the ankles here. And then that right knee pointing out towards the right. And then you can even inhale, raising those hands up above you. Exhale, bringing those hands to heart center. You can stay here for your tree, or maybe even grow the arms out. Or you could bring the sole of that right foot up to the calf muscle here, or maybe even up by the inner thigh here. So it's always knowing that you've got options and you can grow the arms wide. And it's okay. Sometimes, you're feeling strong on one side, other times not so much, and knowing that it's okay. And then looking forward. So with balance poses, you want to think about keeping your eyes about the same level, your gaze at the same level as your eyes, or looking down a few feet in front of you. And then when you're ready, slowly let those hands come down, and then maybe even shaking out those feet here. All right, finding the same pose on the other side, so shifting the weight into the right leg, coming up, bringing that left heel up above that medial malleolus of the right. That knee coming out to the left side. Inhale, raising those hands above you, palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. And then inhale, reaching those hands up. Or, adjusting those feet just like we did on the other side. Gaze focused on something that won't move. That's a key point. Forgot to say that. So, definitely not staring at another person. So a spot on the wall can work. Just knowing you've got options here. And then exhale, let that left foot come down to the floor. And then take a moment to shake it out again here. Maybe rolling the shoulders up, back and down a few times. Yep, just like that, rolling it out. Maybe you've been just finding some neck stretches here for the trapezius muscles. So letting that left ear come down to the left shoulder on an exhale. Inhale, coming back up. And then exhale, letting the right ear come down to the right shoulder. Inhale, coming back to center. Rolling the shoulders again, up, back, and down, palms facing forward. All right, and I know Yoga Buzz has been doing poses of the day, and I think this is day 4. Don't quote me. I think it maybe is 9, maybe, but it's eagle pose. So the reason I wanted to do the hugging motion is because that's very similar to what you do in eagle pose. So that's going to be the last balance pose of this class before we go down to the mat and work on a few cool down poses before we go into Shavasana or our final rest. So shifting the weight into the left leg. So maybe like bending into that leg a little bit. You can step over that right foot, over that left foot. That foot can stay down for balance. Inhale, raising those arms out wide, palms facing forward. Exhale, bringing the right arm over the left. And knowing that you can stay here, this is an eagle pose right here. You can even be in a chair doing this. And then if you want, think about lifting up those elbows and then maybe letting the hands, or the backs of the hands touch. Or if you prefer, you could even bring the palms together to touch. And then maybe even raising that right foot up, curling those toes behind that left leg, letting this be your eagle pose here. So I probably should have done it on this side. So this is what it might look like in profile. Inhale, shaking the arms and legs out. Ooh, that can be challenging. All right, finding that mountain pose again, rolling the shoulders up, back and down, palms facing forward. All right, shifting the weight into the right leg now. Letting that mobility be in that leg, right? So knowing it can move up and down because you've got that bend in that leg. And then when you're ready, stepping the left foot over the right. Inhale, raising the arms out wide. Exhale, bringing the left arm over the right. Letting the elbows come up. And then bringing the backs of the hands together, or maybe you prefer the palm. And then reaching that left foot up, curling at the toes behind that right foot, leg, I should say, the calf muscle. And then inhale, letting everything shake out. Good job, everybody. That's a tough one. It's not always one that I nail every time, but sometimes it's fun to just, struggle a little bit, knowing that it's okay. Even yoga teachers can struggle, right? And it's totally cool. All right, inhale, reaching the arms up, palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. And then when you're ready, you're going to find your way down to the mat. So you could go down to sit, or if you prefer, we could find a forward fold. Inhale, reaching the hands up over here. Exhale, finding that forward fold, letting the hands come down, stepping the feet back into the plank, lower those knees, and then finding yourself in a seated position. And then once you're there, go ahead and bring the soles of the feet to touch the mat, and then working your way down to your back. And then exhale, bringing the knees in towards the chest, rocking from side to side, massaging that low back. Exhale, extending that right leg long, using that right hand to bring over that left knee. And for this one, you can use a block under that left leg, a left knee, I should say, and then adjusting the left hand about 45-degree angle to really stretch out those muscle fibers in the back. And then looking over the right shoulder here so the right arm can be extended out. This might feel kind of intense, so you're welcome to adjust the hand as needed, finding what does work for you. And then inhale, bringing that knee back into center, switching sides. So using the left hand to guide that right knee over the left. And then this time, adjusting the arm 45 degrees on this side. Sometimes people prefer using a hand to find that pressure on the outside of that right thigh. So you're really going to feel it in the scapular muscles over there. Especially for those of us who work at a desk, these stretches are wonderful. Inhale, bringing that right knee back into center, rocking from side to side. And then on an exhale, extending the legs long. And then finding yourself in a pose that you enjoy doing for Shavasana or final resting pose. So arms can be wide here, legs extended. Or some people prefer even coming into side line and then using that bottom arm as a pillow. You might find that's a better resting pose for you. Or if you're on your back, you might even want to bring the soles of the feet down to take off some of that low pressure off the back. And then take a moment to connect again with your breath. Your palms can even be facing down and towards the ground here. I prefer my palms up so I can let the shoulders externally rotate to open up and stretch the pectoral muscles a little bit more. So connecting back with that breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. And then you can stay here for as long as you want. But obviously I have to end this class at some point. So I'm going to go ahead and close our class or our practice today. So by doing so, if you want to do so now, you're welcome to come along with me. Inhale, reaching the hands above the head, palms touch. Exhale, hands down to heart center. And then taking a moment to close the eyes or even just softening the gaze. And by softening the gaze, just letting the eyelids rest a little. Gaze maybe looking down towards the mat in front of you or the floor beneath you. And then finding one thing that you personally are grateful for. I know it's hard to find gratitude sometimes when things get tough, but it's been shown, it's been linked to greater happiness, the studies have shown. So trying to work on a gratitude practice daily, despite it being challenging, can be very beneficial. And if you don't feel comfortable doing so, you don't have to, but I invite you to do so now with me. And then when you're ready, we will leave you with the words peace, love, and yoga, and Tai Chi. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you guys got out to enjoy the beautiful weather today, or maybe you plan on doing so after this class. So enjoy.